Hey guys, this is again another video where I give my 2 cents on a subject. I might not necessarily be the expert on some things, but fuck it, I've got 2 cents to give out. So, so the hot topic for the past 2 days, you guessed it, yeah, transgenders in the military. So a lot of people are losing their fucking minds over Trump's tweet and whatnot, saying they won't allow transgenders in the military. And I'm sure there's people out there saying that, oh, this is what all Trump supporters want and all that shit, but everybody has their own opinions. So here's mine. So this might be longer, this might be shorter. I decided to take notes this time, so I might ramble a little more on my notes. It might keep me on point more, so we'll see. So, transgenders in the military, should they be allowed to serve? I would say yes. There are practical, and a lot of people say morality and ethics are 2 separate things. I consider them one and the same. So some are practical and some are moral, ethical reasons. The first is that a volunteer force means that there's less chance of a draft. The reason why we haven't had a draft since Vietnam. We've been to war since Vietnam, but we haven't had a draft since then. Now, why is that? That's because we have enough volunteers to fill the mission requirements and needs. The more people that volunteer, that's a lower chance for a draft. That's the lower chance for people who don't want to be in the military service, might be conscientious objectors, who you might not want in the military carrying a rifle next to you. There's less of a chance of people like that being drafted in the military. Another reason is that it's possible that by barring transgenders from joining the military, you bar people from the military that have skill sets that could greatly benefit the military. Now, my military experience comes from the Marine Corps. And one of the, pretty much the very first things you learn at boot camp are people who had a huge impact on the Corps. People like Lieutenant A.A. Cunningham, the father of Marine Corps aviation. Gunnery Sergeant Carlos Hathcock, the accredited father of the Marine Corps Scout Sniper program. Chesty Puller, 5 Navy Crosses. Corporal Dunham jumped on a grenade and saved his buddy's life. The first 3 probably apply more, but these are all big names that you learn from boot camp. If you bar a certain part of the population for joining simply because they're transgender, it's possible that the Marine Corps misses out, or the military at large misses out on the next father of aviation or father of the Scout Sniper program. Let's see, what's something that could be? Hell, the military, well, the Pentagon's wanting to set up a branch dedicated to space, and the Air Force already has a mission. One of its mission statements is to deal with space. What if you turn away the person that just nails down having people dropped in from orbit onto an objective? I mean, it's possible, right? What if you turn someone away that can turn ship to ground or ship to ship gunnery? What if they have what if they can contribute some great advancements to that field? I mean, you never know. Oh, notepad. Sorry about that. Little bit of rambling. My next point is that someone willing to serve should only be turned away for certain reasons. Like if they're unhealthy, so if they have, let's say, they have a history of narcolepsy. You don't want them falling asleep on their job, you don't want them falling asleep on post, you don't want them to drop asleep in the middle of a patrol or anything like that. Fucking broken legs, fucking brittle bones, heart disease, things like that. Also their criminal background. You don't want to... I know that people say, oh, the military standards haven't changed in so long. Well, it does change when, like, back when I joined, it was in 2009, and it was kind of the tail end of the military trying to ramp up numbers. And there were people getting in that had, let's say, a less than on the up and up background, simply because we needed the numbers. And now people that would join because and have the same type of background would be turned away. I don't think that standard should ever change. You should have a high standard for the military. I mean, less than 1% of the population joins, so it shouldn't be that hard to find people with a clean record to join. So, the next is that other than my points of them being allowed to serve, to be honest, some people might not like this, but I don't think the military is ready for this. I think they should be allowed to join, but I do think some pretty big changes need to be made in the military before they allow this. Now this one is pretty controversial. According to different people I've spoken to, we should have one PT standard for each branch. So the Marine Corps shouldn't have a male and female PT standard. We should have one not anymore. They should have one PT standard. They should look at what's required and hold everyone accountable to that. I know that females can reach the male standard, the current male standard. I've seen them do it. Whenever there was a short period of time where the Marine Corps made it optional for females to perform pull-ups instead of the flexed arm hang. And a lot of people said, well, females can't do this. They're not built the same way. I'm not saying that females are built the same way as males. However, there were females in my unit, Company D, that trained to do pull-ups. And when the time came, they maxed out pull-ups. They did 20 pull-ups. That's the max amount that will count for score for a male's PT score. They did this. They did. Females, from what I've seen, do the same amount of crunches. Females, from what I've seen, can have good fucking run times. People might say that, oh, you're being sexist by saying that we should make it harder for females. No, I'm saying that it's sexist to think that females are so weak that they can't conform to a certain physical standard. They can. I've seen it. I've seen it with my own two eyes. You cannot say that females cannot do this. They can. And if they push themselves, they will do it. Alright, enough rambling on that. I've got certain points I want to go through, sorry. Another thing on this is that if they are all held to the same standard, no one will say that they are performing as less than expected, or that they are less than a Marine, or that they are not as worthy. If you hold everyone to the same exact standard, things will be equal across the board as far as what is expected of people. This might make me some enemies, but to be honest, less is expected of female Marines. Look at what is required of their runtime. Look at what is required of their crunches. They even perform a completely separate exercise rather than doing pull-ups. Look at the CFT scores. Look at what's required for their runtime for that. Look at what's required for their maneuver under fire. Look at what's required for their ammo can lifts. Less is expected physically of female Marines than male Marines. That needs to change. Not just for transgender troops, but for the Marine Corps as a whole. If you're going to say that once you get out of boot camp, then you're a Marine, then you need to hold everyone to the same standard. Otherwise, you will have people that say that, oh, you're less of a Marine because you don't have to work as hard as I do. I'm not saying that people are less of a Marine. because they did fulfill the requirements to become a Marine. But I will definitely say that less is required of them. Also, something that probably hasn't come up that much in this discussion, but I've seen it come up in discussions about sports. There's been a couple of news articles out about a boy who claimed he was a girl because he was transgender. He got into wrestling and then he slayed the competition. There's things about transgender runners slaying the competition. And this might raise the argument that maybe some people join simply to have an easier physical standard. Well, if you have one physical standard, no one can possibly say that. If you have one standard that everyone is held to, no one can say that they joined as a transgender simply to try to get an easier, to have an easier time on their physical fitness. Another change that should be made is that there's only one style of restroom. Then you don't have the thing of, well, which restroom do they go to, blah, 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 blah. To me, this is a fucking really minor issue, but people seem to like to blow things up like that out of proportion. So, one style of restroom. Get rid of the urinals. Fucking just put in so many extra toilets and put stalls around them. That way no one can see each other's genitalia or whatever. Just one style of restroom, put stalls around them. Anyone can use any restroom. End of that. One shower at boot camp. The main argument I can see coming from this is that, oh, people will be looking at each other so much and all that, and you'll have sexual assaults and stuff. The sexual assault thing was a minor argument raised when DADT was repealed. Didn't have that fucking much of an issue. Second, if you're fucking taking the time to just look at somebody in the public shower at boot camp, you have way too much fucking time to shower. The drill instructors need to take care of that pretty damn quick. If you have enough time to start looking around and admiring people's genitalia, you need to be pushed through the fucking line faster. You should only have time to fucking soap up, rinse off, shampoo, rinse off, soap in the fucking hair too, whatever, fuck it. Just shower, get the fuck out. One thing is that, another thing is no group rooming at duty station, or just get the fuck over having a transgender roommate or female roommate. If you want to keep people segregated at duty stations that still have 3 to 4 to a room, then give them all their own room. That would raise cost, but it would most likely help with the morale for troops to have something a little more private than what they have now. Or they can just get the fuck over it. The military isn't a fucking club. It's not a fucking Boy Scout troop or Girl Scout troop. It's not a fucking band. It's a job. It's a profession. That's what it is. People need to be professional. I mean, I know sometimes people need to cut loose and whatnot, but fuck, man. A lot of the times people act like the same people that they're sending to get shot at or sending to take high-stress jobs can't handle having an opposite sex or whatever roommate. Come on, get the fuck over it. Another change that I think would be a little bit easier to implement would be having the same style uniforms. Get rid of the skirts, give them slacks. Females already have slacks that they can wear. Sorry if I offend anyone by calling trousers slacks, whatever. They're basically fucking slacks. Give everyone slacks. Give everyone the same fucking blouse. Like the dress blues blouse. Give that to males, females, whoever. The covers, change that to a male cover. The camis, they all look the fucking same anyway. Maybe there's female Marines out there who can tell me what the difference is. I don't fucking know. From what I understand, they're all the same fucking color of digiflage, and they all have buttons, and they all have your name, rank, and service on them. So, whatever. There are some kind of arguments being made to transgenders joining the military, and I like to present some of those with I guess, counter arguments to the arguments against it. One of the big things is the cost of providing the surgery. One way you can alleviate this or get away from it is require that their transition surgery is done prior to service. There are cases where someone has had a medical problem and they had to have surgery before they could join. The military allowed them to join, but they had to have certain things done before they join. If someone wants to be a transgender, then have them transition before they join the military. The military isn't a place for you to join and just for free surgeries. The military is a specific type of job. The military's purpose is not to hand out free cosmetic surgery. The military's purpose, in a broad sense, is to protect our country either through brute force or through threatening brute force. That is the military's entire job. The military's job is to be able to kill people and to either threaten to kill people or to actually kill people. Its purpose is not to be some sort of social experiment. That's not its purpose. If you start changing the military where it can no longer do that, you are weakening your country as a whole. Another argument I see coming up is the mental stress of combat or deployment. Military training is already designed to weed out people who are weak mentally. That's why boot camp is a fucking piece of hell. Some people said, oh, boot camp was so easy. I didn't find it that way. I found it was one of the worst fucking things I've ever done. And I hated it. I hated every minute of it. My biggest fear in boot camp was to be recycled and then have to go through parts of boot camp again. That was my biggest fucking fear. It wasn't of having drill instructors yell at me. It wasn't of accidentally getting shot at the firing range, any of that. It was to be recycled and have to redo some of that same shit. I hated it. I hated boot camp with a fucking passion. The whole point behind boot camp is to completely break someone down. Some people call it brainwashing. Yeah, it pretty much is. But it's to completely fucking break someone down to absolutely nothing. That's why they have you call yourself this recruit instead of I. You're not human. You are a recruit. I is a pronoun used for humans. You are not human. You're a recruit. You are less than human. You are less than something that's scrubbed off of someone's boot. You are nothing. Literally nothing. And then they build you up. They send you farther forward at boot camp. You learn how to conduct yourself as a Marine. And then finally, you gain the title of Marine. You are a Marine. You are a person now. And then people that say, well, what if they crack? Shit, on my deployment, I had someone completely break down. And he was former infantry. I'm an intel guy. You'd think, oh, an infantry guy can handle the stress of being an intel guy. No, he fucking couldn't. He started throwing hot cups of coffee at officers. He started threatening other people with death. He grabbed some of the people in my small unit and started throwing them against walls and shit in a chokehold. And I would say treat the same person that cracks as a transgender out on deployment the same way that we treated him. Send him fuck back home. Get help. So, those are my thoughts. Hope you like... Oh, wait, one more thing. If you're on Facebook and you're going through your friends' views and whatnot, don't fucking unfriend them just because they have different views than what you are. Number one, if you do that, you aren't a very good fucking friend to begin with. People have different views. Get over it. We're humans. That's how we work. Second, all you do is if you get rid of everyone that has different views than you, all you're doing is putting yourself in an echo chamber. I would say progressives are more guilty of this. Oh, you're doing this for Trump. You're a bigot, and all this and that. You must be a sexist homophobe. Fuck you. And then all they do is talk to everyone else that believes the same fucking thing and believes that everyone else on the other side is an evil sack of shit. Same thing that some conservatives do. oh, you voted for Bernie, you must be a socialist and you must hate our country, blah 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 blah, get rid of you. Or you voted for Hillary, you must love government corruption, get rid of you. And then all they listen to is people talk about politics that belong in the 1940s. It makes you less of a person. It makes you less able to make fully informed decisions on things. It makes you less able to develop your own mind and develop your own opinions, rather than building your opinions off of what your pastor, what your favorite celebrity said, what your favorite political candidate said. Fuck them. Form your own beliefs and then find the people you want to follow after that. Anyway, see ya.